for the podcast for this.
All right, I'm starting this on another
Okay.
episode of the Soothing Semantics podcast. I'm your host, Rafi Pinsky. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, leave your comments for your real estate needs. Make sure to go to Rafi the Realtor in South Florida. Follow my newsletter in the link in bio. And we're a little short on time with this episode. Hopefully, we're going to get to do a nice amount and cover some things. But on
No,
this
don't
week's
worry about it.
in this week's episode, I have the Salukie, aka Ido. No worries. So
I just wanted
I've
that to
been
make that one
watching.
clear.
I've been watching Ido's channel for the probably the last year, if anything, and I was mind blown by the crazy shit he does. Because he goes to, I don't know if you've been. I think you've been to Kalandia, and I know Tal has, but you've been to Jenin, you've been to Ramallah, you've been to Shechem, I think, which is Nablus. I know you've been to several places, and I'm like, this dude's out of his mind. So, which I loved. I was really impressed, and I thought the videos were very interesting. I've never really seen anyone do that. Any Israelis willingly go in there. And the content's really, really good. And I really like what you posted. But then recently I saw some content and I was like, where is this coming from? It's kind of confusing. So just to be real with you, I'm not here to focus that much on this because basically a lot of people have been questioning if your mental health is okay, if you're doing okay. And you've been contesting that and saying you're perfectly fine. You are who you are. You're posting what you want to post. And your goal is to get to 1 million followers and pretty much post a video a day. So we can go into
And
this
my
whole
goals
thing a
are
little
way
bit.
bigger than that, but whatever.
So
I
yeah.
wanted to just finish the introduction and but I want to just say that I would like you to actually focus on those very questions because that's what everybody cares about, you know?
Yeah, I
So,
definitely want to focus on it. I also wanted to talk a little bit about your views and how you kind of like walked away from Zionism, of what it sounds like anyway. But we'll go
okay,
into
go
that a little
ahead,
bit.
yeah.
We'll go into that a
But
little
yeah,
bit later.
yeah.
So long story short, guys, go to the Saluki on YouTube. You can follow his page and leave your comments, share your thoughts. We'd like to hear from you. But dude, here's the thing, man. I'm a respectful person, but I'm also very blunt, and I know you are too. You're
I'm
not afraid
Israeli.
to I know you exactly. So in terms of all of this going on, dude, how did the content go from Israel Palestine covering all these conversations to going and taking some video with some chick and her dad or something, or you said it wasn't her dad, and then there's also these suppose now you're saying they're jokes, but like the pregnancy thing where you're trying to like get people pregnant, like how does that? I guess it just throws people off in terms of normalcy, in terms of you being a stable dude. So kind of give
So,
us the spiel here.
so what? Like, why am I supposed to care if people think I'm stable or not?
It's not about whether it's
These
because
people aren't real to me. You understand? All of these comments, they don't have a name, they don't have a face, they don't exist.
okay, but you don't think there's a percentage of those people that may know you, or even, dude, I don't know you, but you're still, to me, you're still another Jew. I care about your well-being. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Why? Because
you
I'm
know what I
Jewish?
mean?
No, I don't know what
Yeah,
you mean.
man. Yeah, exactly.
I
I
don't
do
care that
because
you're
I
Jewish, to
appreciate
be
what you.
honest with you.
You
But
don't have to.
I don't know.
Just because you
I
don't
don't.
care doesn't mean I
Yeah.
don't.
Okay, I don't know.
Also,
I think that's a weird way to view the world, to see like somebody as your brother
it's
just because I don't know.
100%, dude. It's family. Why is that even a bad thing? That's kind of
Because
a
we're all
rabbit hole. But
family. I think it's disgusting to say that only Jewish people are like I'm your
do
brother
you
because I'm
do
Jewish.
you put? Let me ask you a question. Do you put if you had kids, would you put your kids before my kids? Would they be more important to you than my children?
Of course,
Okay, so don't you think that your family
because
comes
they're my
before?
kin. Why
I
would I care
understand
about
that.
your children? I
I
mean, no
understand that.
offense.
But
I
but
care
but
about children, of course, and I help children around the world. But why would I prioritize your kin over my kin? What are they to me, like compared to my successors, compared to the people that I invest my life in, compared to the people that I work for?
So doesn't that
I don't
prove my
understand.
point? Jewish people, especially if they have a country, even if they're from different backgrounds, they see themselves as a group of people, as a nation. So
That's
they're gonna,
that's right about any ethnic group and about any religion.
congratulations, dude. So that's why I'm telling you, that's why you think it's weird, but to me, if I see another Jew, I'm gonna, I look at them as family. So
Yeah, well, I look at everybody as family because I'm a hippie before I'm a Jew.
that's great, bro. But I don't think that's okay. Either way, that's how you look at it. I look at it differently. We can look at it differently. That's fine.
Okay,
I'm
fine.
also you're also getting defensive about me giving a shit, which is odd. I find that strange. But the point
I don't
is
know.
the point is there are people who know you, right? And when you put there are certain things to most people that if you do just seems odd and unstable. So I'm not coming at it
What?
from a
But I
hateful point of
again, like, why should I be concerned if people
you don't
think that
have
I'm
to
odd
give
and
a
unstable?
you don't have to
What's
give a
so?
shit as long as you're honest with yourself. If you don't give a fuck, this is not a therapy session. You can do whatever the fuck you want, bro. It's your life. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
No, but
I'm just,
I just want to answer your question. I really don't mind. Like, I don't mind if people think that I'm strange. People have always thought that I'm strange. I am a strange
is this
person.
strange is one thing, bro. People might think I'm strange. Strange is one thing, but it's more of a concern of people are wondering, are you genuinely doing drugs that are bad for you?
Yes, I
Right?
am. Yes, I
Okay.
am, and so are you.
Am I doing no, I'm really not. I drink on occasion. What drugs am I doing?
You're doing alcohol. That's the worst drug in the world. Alcohol and
Okay.
benzodiazepines are the only two drugs that if you quit by yourself, you'll die. You can quit heroin by yourself. You can quit cocaine by yourself. You can quit
I've
marijuana
never
by
drank,
yourself.
yeah, but I've never drank enough for it to be a big deal. Like I've
It
when
is
I
a
was
big
maybe
deal
in college.
because you drink it all, and that's haram. And there's a reason it's haram because neuroscientists would back me.
All
It's
right,
not funny,
bro,
man.
bro. Come on, do me a favor.
What? Do
I'm
me what
I'm
fucking favor? What?
I'm drink. Okay, first of all, okay, we'll have to cut that one out.
No, no,
I'm
don't
drink.
cut it out.
I'm not going to keep the N word in the thing. There's no need for that. The point
Okay, then
is I'm doing because neither of us are black, bro. That's first of all. Second of all,
I don't care. I
about
don't care. I don't care, man. I'm not you, okay? לא, אני בכוונה...
okay.
Anyway,
I understand.
you want me to get pissed off on camera on purpose, or you want to so people can see how crazy I am, or you want me to
No, that's
stay
the thing, bro.
positive?
I don't have an ulterior motive. I'm actually coming on here because I wanted to talk to you. You're just getting
Okay,
defensive. It's
then
hard to have
stop
a
pissing me
conversation.
off, man. I don't get it. Like, what are
Or
these questions?
I don't see
They're
why
like,
you're getting pissed off because you're not letting anyone have a conversation.
I don't know.
So
I
I'm
just try
trying
to
to.
see. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
If you're just gonna
Okay,
get upset when I
you
ask you
wanna
a
cut
question,
from the
then
part where I said the N word? You wanna cut that?
that's okay. Yes, but that's a separate point. The point is, bro, you do you. If you don't, if you think everything is normal or you don't care, then that's your prerogative. You do what you want. People are
Okay, you
actually
wanna
messaging you.
continue? You wanna? Okay, when I give people interviews, then I sometimes ask them if they wanna change the topic, and I
Do
wanna
you
change the topic. You wanna
do
ask me
you
about the
want to?
project? Huh? Yeah.
My point is, dude, since you have a channel and you have a fan base, your fan base, if many of them are giving you feedback, then maybe there's a point. That's all I'm saying. Maybe they have a
Why?
point.
Who are they? They're not real.
They're not real. I mean, most of them are actual people, but okay, fine. They're
No,
also
they're
the
not.
ones. They're also the ones you're relying on. Yeah, but bro, they're also the ones relying that you're
No, I'm
relying
not
on to
relying
make your
on them.
business.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
So
I'm
if
relying
your
on you,
channel was
you.
deleted, you wouldn't care.
Huh?
So if your channel
You can keep
disappeared,
asking
you
me.
wouldn't
Wait,
care.
are you filming? Like, are we recording? Tell me when we're recording, because I'm letting my friend make phone calls here.
Yeah, I'm
Are
just
we
okay. Listen,
recording?
man, I'm
Yes
just
or no?
asking you questions. Yeah, it's recording.
Wait, tell me if we're recording. Say action, and then I'll go back. طب אני יורד אז אם אתה...
We're recording.
Okay.
We're recording right now. Okay,
Okay, go.
listen, I'm gonna move
Go.
away from. I'll move away from this. I've been recording the whole time. I'll
Okay.
move away from this topic. I'll move away from this
No,
topic.
you don't
It's
have
not.
to move
It's
away
not.
from it, but this conversation is going in circles. So
That's primarily the point. That's why I'm not gonna have it anymore.
yeah,
In
okay, I'm
terms
getting
of
out of the car.
okay, in
Yeah.
terms of you're still good. You still can talk.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay. In terms of the discussion regarding Israel Palestine, how did you kind of switch over from being very pro-Israel to now kind of would you say you're in the middle or you're more
No, I've never been pro-Israel and I've never been pro-Palestine. I've never expressed a political opinion, so I don't know how you derived those ideas. Maybe you could elaborate.
well, I'm also asking you, it's more of a question, but also where were you? You're in Yalom? Which unit were you
No,
in?
but that's a question that's based on assumptions like that are incorrect. You're saying I was pro-Israel and now I'm pro-Palestine. How did
Well,
you reach those conclusions?
I just assumed if you were in a unit, especially a special forces unit, Most people, if they're going to go to a sayeret, they're probably pretty supportive of Israel. You don't
No,
have to go there. You didn't have to do it.
nothing to do with it.
Okay, so you just wanted the experience. You just wanted to kind of
I
see
was
if you
always a
could do it.
I was a criminal until I was, well, until now. But I wanted to clear my criminal record, so I went to the IDF, and I wanted to go to the IDF, so I went to the best units in the IDF, which is Sayeret Matkal, which is where our president went, by the way. You probably know this.
Mm.
And yeah, I did the Sayeret Matkal selection camp, and I finished it. So, and I finished it very quickly. Sorry, I'm a bit confused because I'm smoking a joint and everything. I'm saying my manager just took me to dinner. Anyway, sorry, I finished the Sayeret Matkal selection camp, and I had interviews for different special forces units. One of them was Dudevan, the ones that do what I do, basically going to Palestine and speak Arabic, and well, they
Yeah,
do it to kill.
Mr. Aravim, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The point is, I got accepted to Yalom. After half a year in Yalom, I saw that there were a bunch of pussies, and I quit. Because in Yalom, like, yeah, it's special forces, but it's not an elite unit. So you have I did the hardest part of the training, and then I was like, this is lame because there's a lot of people here that like suck, and they're just kind of like, it's called safim in Hebrew, like they're dragging their way through the maslul. You know what that means?
Mm-hmm. I was
Like,
bro. I was in fear. I was in fear. I understand all the lingo.
Okay, אז
Yeah.
יש לך, you understand? Yeah, יש לך אנשים
But let's do
שותפים.
it. Let's do it. Let's do English. Let's do English because people are listening. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
just to make my point, יש לך אנשים שותפים. You've got people that float, it's called, that they float
Right.
around and they suck balls. And I didn't want to be with people like that on my team. So I went to be a commander in the normal combat unit because I think that's more, I don't know, a more
You had
useful
more of
thing
a
to do in life, you know, like
okay.
to be a commander.
Okay.
And then I wanted to do the Kurs Ksinim. You want to translate the lingo?
Commander's course.
Yeah. And no, not commander, like to become an officer.
Officer's course. Officer's course. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I finished the commander. After I was going to finish the commander's course, I was going to go to the officer's course, but they sent us to Gaza 2 weeks before the officer's course. What was supposed to happen is I was supposed to finish the officer's course. You want me to talk so much about the IDF or not? Because it's not that
You
interesting.
could a little bit. I mean, it gives you a background story. It gives you a background story, especially if it's getting maybe don't go. You don't have to go too into the army story. We can always get back on another episode.
No,
But
because I
I
could
want to
like
know how you.
it's really long. I could write a book about it. Like when I was in the army, I was working as a stripper at the same time. I was working as a like I faked a lot of documents to always be at home. Like whenever I got tired of it, I would go like to the hospital and get somebody that just broke their toe, take a picture of their document, like you know, make them give it to me because I was a gangster. And I would change it on Photoshop, and then boom, whoop did you do? You have 2 months at home, and then I would go and save money, and that's how I finished the army with a huge lump sum of money, and I used that money to travel the world for years. And every time I ran out of money, I went back to organized crime. That's my story.
Okay, so pretty much you love adrenaline, dude. You love whatever kind of gets you in the moment. You just go with the flow.
No, I love money. It's not about adrenaline. I don't like adrenaline. I don't go looking for it. I'm an introvert in real life. When we see me on a podcast or something, you obviously see me talking fast and you know, like pretending I know everything about anything. But this is because I'm being interviewed and I know how to do this. You understand? But in real life, you can find me sitting on a bench and I don't know, reading 50 Shades of Grey. That's the real me, you know. And I don't want to be bothered by other people. And then when you see me in a video, I'll be running around and talking to every motherfucker in town because that's what makes a funny video or a good video. So yeah. I
Okay.
I I'm an actor. I play a bit of a character on camera, like this social guy, and in real life, I'm a nerd. You know, like I was also a pro Call of Duty player, and you know, like I was a hacker and a programmer, and like I programmed an app actually that just came out. I didn't talk about it yet. It's gonna be an app to let influencers call like sorry to let fans of influencers call their favorite YouTubers or whatever, and it costs $25 for 15 minutes. And we already got some very famous Indian actresses on it in the first day, so that's going really well. But yeah, I
Nice.
don't know. I like money. That's the point.
I understand. I understand. Okay. So these are interesting things. The stripper thing is interesting, but we could always talk about that. I don't want to get too into that. Not that I have an issue talking about it. It's just I want to get to the meat and potatoes. So okay, so your mindset never shifted, even growing up when you were a kid, your parents weren't very pro-Israel or Zioni?
No, I was never. I like. I don't care what my parents think. I think that both of them are morons.
Even when you were a little kid, I'm saying before you kind of
No,
had your
I
own.
hated them ever since I was a little kid because they were abusive to me, and I didn't take anything they said seriously ever. I don't like,
uh,
let alone politics. Who the fuck are they? Here, he's more of my dad than my actual dad. This is my
Okay.
manager.
Nice to
He
meet you.
actually he taught film in the University of Ariel for 20 years. Film and television. Film and television,
Oh, nice.
and then he worked for Channel 4 for 20 years, Thames Media, and he's learning from me about film every single day. That's his
Interesting.
words.
Okay. So how did you okay, so my point is where do you kind of stand right now, man? Like let's say with the war. Do you think
What's
what
it
do you
with a war? Well,
like what do you think Israel should do? What do you think Israel should do at this current moment? Continue the
what do I
war.
think Israel should do this current moment? I could see a million other things that Israel could do besides bombing Gaza. Do you want to hear an example?
Absolutely, tell me.
And by Israel, I mean Netanyahu because he's been the king of Israel ever since before I was born. I was born into Netanyahu being the president.
King is the wrong terminology. He's the dictator of Israel.
That is true, yeah. You want me
Okay.
to talk about that? What do you want me to talk about? Okay,
No,
what
well,
Israel
more
could do, for example, instead of bombing Gaza right now?
yeah, sure.
Okay, here's three examples. Take all of the people in Gaza, interrogate them heavily, put them in camps outside of Gaza, the ones that don't have ties to Hamas, because many people do, and those who have proven to not have any ties to Hamas and to not have anything in their phone that is spreading propaganda of Jewish hatred, etc., can be allowed to go back to Gaza, and Israel flattens it out. That's an example.
Okay.
The other thing they could do is
Okay,
send
so
them into the sea, for example. The other thing they could do is pressure Sisi to open Rafah. What the fuck is it called? The crossing between Sinai and
Rafa, but he's not. Yeah,
Rafah.
but
Yeah,
he's CC's building a wall. He's not letting them in. How
I
are they going
know.
to put
Sisi's
right?
a little bitch, just like
Oof.
Netanyahu, just like Mahmoud Abbas, just like Joe Biden. They're
Okay,
all little
well,
bitches.
or maybe Egypt just doesn't want to deal with them. So you could say whatever you want, but meaning if he's not going to
Yeah.
allow them in. So okay, so these are
No,
theoretical.
nobody wants to deal with him. You're talking about Egypt. Nobody wants the Palestinians.
Right.
It's a fact.
I, I understand that. So my point is also to also find Palestinians that are are not in support of Hamas in any way. Maybe now that they're getting their asses kicked, now they're tired of it. But if Hamas won, if let's say theoretically Hamas broke into the border October 7th and actually somehow by a miracle took over Israel, they'd be thrilled about that. But because they didn't succeed, now they're saying, you know what, Hamas, you fucked up.
What's wrong with
You
them
know,
being thrilled about that? I don't understand. Why
thrilled
wouldn't
about.
they be thrilled about that? About you mean like Hamas taking over Israel and Israel becoming an Islamic republic?
Oh, I'm no. I'm saying, of course they would be, but the only reason they aren't thrilled is because that didn't happen the way they wanted it to. So
Yeah, but
now,
what's wrong with them being happy if it becomes Palestine? Isn't that what you want, for everything to become Israel? What's the difference?
oh, I understand that, but I don't argue that. They're just not the ones that are winning, so they don't get to make those decisions. I make
I
I
fail to
make
see
these
your
statements.
point.
I make these statements on my podcast, dude. This is just human. This is human nature. They want the land, we want the land, and we're fighting over it. So my point is in order to come to some solution where we don't slaughter each other, because I have my own feelings on what's going to solve this. And a one-state solution is not going to work, and a two-state solution is not going to work. Neither of them are viable. And the one-state solution is
Without a
not viable.
dictatorship, they're not viable. We need a
Say again?
dictatorship in the. I said they're only viable if we enforce a dictatorship.
Well, the problem also is in a one-state solution, it won't
And
be a
we already
Jewish.
have a dictatorship.
I mean, I understand. It's definitely
Can you
not a
debate me on that?
dictatorship.
Can you attempt to debate me on that fact?
A dictatorship for Israelis?
No, that Israel is a dictatorship.
I mean, I definitely don't think it's a dictatorship. It might not be as democratic as America, but a dictatorship, I wouldn't go
Yes,
that
it's
far
a
at all.
dictatorship. Yes.
How do you figure?
How do I figure? Do you want an example?
I'm open. Sure, tell me.
There was an Israeli journalist who went to the West Bank, independent, went to the West Bank and made videos over there. And he was hospitalized in a mental institution because they couldn't arrest it. Like, I mean, because it's illegal to sneak into the West Bank, but it's not like,
Are you not talking about yourself right now?
no.
Okay. But okay, but think about how many leftist press from other countries go into Israel and are able to film. Happens every single day.
Yeah, and
Non-Palestinian journalists.
they got everything that comes out of Israel has been reviewed. It's a fact. Look it up.
Okay, but there's a lot of it. Okay, but there's a lot of it that is freely posted on all these sites like RT, Al Jazeera, all these sites. Maybe during the war they're stricter. Maybe during the war they're not as free in allowing these press companies. But when I was in the army, we had press all the time posting stuff, trying to catch us doing anything. The smallest thing they would try to film an Israeli soldier doing. That doesn't
Yeah, what's
a
wrong with that?
dictator. But that argues your point that it's the dictatorship. It was a
No,
dictatorship.
it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's exactly how a dictatorship sounds, that everything that you're doing is being watched.
But the fact that it's allowed, first of all, America filters tons of things. Every country, even a free country, still has filtering, still has, government watching you. There's always going to be that bullshit. But you compare it to a dictatorship in a Muslim country, for the most part, it's much more free.
Look, I said no, that story isn't about me because I just wanted you to consider the idea that this happened multiple times during the war. That people with certain opinions and people that go and do business in the West Bank, Israelis, there's many Israelis just like me who go there, and they're smart enough to understand that you can get fake Nike Jordans in Jenin for 30 shekels and sell them for 300 shekels in Israel, just as an example. A lot of these people were hospitalized, just like me. You can look it up. I'm not the only person. It's all over Twitter. It's all over Israeli Twitter. It's all over Facebook.
I mean, I hear you, but dude, you're posting
How is that
stuff.
not a dictatorship? This is exactly what Putin does to LGBT protesters in Russia. He puts them in mental institutions. Is that not enough for it to not be a dictatorship? We can move on to another example.
I still don't think that makes it a dictatorship at all. First of all, you're posting. You went to Jenin. You went to all these places. You're walking around smoking a joint right now. That doesn't sound so bad, my friend.
Wow, what did you say? I didn't hear you.
I said you were in one of the most dangerous cities in the West Bank more than once, and now you're smoking a joint, walking around freely, and no one's doing a damn thing to you. That sounds pretty free
I
to
did
me.
that in Jenin too. What are you talking about? Even more so.
But we're talking about Israel right now. We're talking about Israel being a dictatorship. If it was a
It is a
dictatorship, you'd have your
dictatorship.
ass.
So what? So I did it in Egypt too, and in Russia. It's just because I know how to run away from police, and I've been doing it all my life.
Right. Israel is definitely not a dictatorship by the definitions
It
of
is a
what a dictatorship.
dictatorship. It is. How prove it that it's not? I'm waiting. I'm eagerly waiting for some proof, but you're not presenting any arguments. You're just saying I'm wrong
Well,
for no
because
reason.
you actually
Please show me
have
a
a
quote. Please show me some evidence, something with references, instead of you just saying random stuff of Israel not being a dictatorship. Show me a proof, and I'll believe you. Maybe I'll change my mind. But you're not
it's
saying
more
anything.
about just understanding the way the framework is. You still have votes, you still have people who vote people in. You can still own businesses, you can still dress the way you want to, you can still practice your religion, you
No, you
still have
can't. No, you can't. You can't
what do you
dress
mean
the
you
way
can't?
you want to, and also you can't practice your religion. Example, Al-Aqsa, you can't go to pray as a Muslim in peace. And example, you can't dress how you want. No, there's entire cities where you can't dress, where I can't. Well, I can because I'm not a girl, but where a girl can't walk with shorts because otherwise these
But
peasants will
but
throw
that's
rocks.
not the government enforcing that. Those are the locals being
No, but
ridiculous
it's the
idiots.
government enabling that, just like they enable Israeli
Right.
settlers to go and kill Palestinian farmers, just like they. This is enabling. What's the difference?
This is called okay, but that is called a country having problems. That doesn't make it a dictatorship. The country is not
No,
going to
what
the
fucking? That's a problem. That's a problem. Jesus Christ, it's a little problem that they hospitalize people. It's a little
Of
problem
course it's an issue.
that
You know,
this is
you
problem.
don't
Compare it to any other. So
don't get pissed off
compare it
because
to a
I'm trying to have
democracy, bro. Compare it to a normal democracy, like a country like Canada.
do you understand that every other country has these issues in some other way, right?
No, not every other country has these issues. What the fuck are you talking about?
In
Give me another
America,
country that has these issues, bro.
they're different. They're issues that are similar in different ways. If I'm in
Take
America, there are certain
two countries, and compare the things that have been talked about on the news,
can a
and you will
Jew
see that
can a
no
Jew
dictators, no democracy in the world looks like Israel, where every single day something else is happening, where every single day there's some other
but
bullshit.
because
There's
it's a
Black Lives Matter
complex
protests, there's riots, there's Jews versus Arabs, there's every day there's fucking,
well,
and
if you let me
it's not the
actually
United
talk,
States,
if you
man.
actually
Look
let
at
me
Singapore. Compare it to Singapore. It's the same size. Compare it to Taiwan.
because the politics are different in Singapore, man. In Israel, we're trying to remain a Jewish state.
Yeah, okay. Singapore wasn't a good example. Taiwan is
You're okay,
very
but
very
you're not
similar
letting
to
me
Israel.
finish my point. If you let me talk, I can get to my point.
No, because you use Singapore as a counter argument.
You use Singapore. I
I
didn't bring up
said,
Singapore.
yeah, I said Taiwan because it's more accurate. But Singapore is an example of a country which is young and doesn't use that as an excuse for things not working. Like, oh, it's a young
Because
country.
Israel is trying to remain a Jewish state when you can't. It is very hard to keep a
What the hell does
democratic
that have to
state.
do with it? What the
It
hell does
has
that have to
everything to
do
do
with
with it.
being a
It has
Jewish
everything to
state?
do with it because when you
It's
yes, it
because
does
it's
because
trying to be a Jewish state. Our economy is terrible. No.
no.
Here's an example of why our economy is terrible. We don't. The whole country smokes weed. Every single person. Look, she's smoking. She's holding a joint in her hand. A bong. Sorry.
All right,
Wow,
dude.
what a fool.
Are you kidding me, dude? You know how many Americans smoke weed? Half the country smokes weed.
Yeah. Wait. Can you listen for a second?
I'm the one listening, dude. You're not letting me talk.
Yeah, exactly, bro. I know. Listen, like you don't let me get to my point. I'm saying the whole country smokes weed. We have great agriculture for weed. I grow weed myself here, and I've been doing it for a long time, and so has my dad. And we would rather smuggle hashish and weed from Lebanon or do everything illegally than letting our economy blossom and keep weed illegal because Israel prefers to be a dictatorship, prefers to be a place where you can't do whatever you want, unlike many states in the United States and even Portugal and Spain, where all drugs are decriminalized, and Holland. The point is, Israel, in every little point that you look, every little alleyway, nook and cranny, you will find that Israel is a dictatorship, and that it suits that every single thing they do isn't something that you would find in a normal democracy like the Czech Republic, for example. It's not a democracy. How is it a democracy when it fails on every single thing?
Because Ido, the structure of the country is very different. And if you let me finish, I'll explain it. In order to keep a Jewish majority country, when you have a group of people who are absolutely opposed to the idea of a Jewish state, and there are plenty of Palestinians that are okay with it. But the ones who have power and who have a say that are trying to defeat us day in and day out, they do not agree with the laws of the land. So the problem is Israel, with all the international pressure and with a constant enemy, not just the Palestinians, but other groups around them who want to eradicate the land, it is very tough to keep a Jewish majority with Jewish people in place and have to deal with that enemy and just say, oh, everything's free and open, do whatever you want. There has to be some kind of, and it's very complex, it's very problematic. You try to,
No, it's not.
you're talking all this shit about Netanyahu, but if you were in the chair, it's a very, very hard position to be in. It's one of
No,
the
it's
hardest
not.
jobs you could have.
No, it's not. No, not when you're somebody like Netanyahu, who is so, like, there's people like Netanyahu who have studied in MIT, who have been in Sayeret Matkan, who have been excellent in every single thing that they ever pursued in their life. And for them, it's not that hard, because he's a person who, like, his brain is so sophisticated that he can, he doesn't write down his speeches, you know, he just whips out a incredibly, like, have you heard him speaking English, Netanyahu?
Of course, many times.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the man is a genius, and you can tell. And for him, like, it's not a big deal. Boom, whip out a speech, boom, fly to Morocco, make peace with them. Like, when he wants to make money, he does it. Don't worry. And he's been doing it for ever since he's been up there, you know, like, that's what he cares about. Like everybody else. El poder puede corromper cualquier ser humano. You know what that means? Power can corrupt any human being. Yeah.
Of course. No, listen,
and this man has been in power for far too long, and he's the face of Israel for all of this time. And yet you claim that it's not a dictatorship. When a man has been serving, you know that in the United States, nobody serves for more than 8 years.
Right.
How is this legitimate?
Okay, I get it. But then again, people are voting him in, whether you like it or not. People vote him in. Because the other people
are,
the other people honestly aren't any better. So if you have a better idea, go for it. But here's the thing, man. Right now, going back to I disagree. Listen, I disagree. I don't think it's a dictatorship at all. Does Israel have issues? Absolutely. But the fact that if you look at it pragmatically, think about how many good things about the country there are that maybe you don't appreciate, where there's so much more unrest and bullshit in other countries. So many other countries.
Can you name a couple of good things? Please name them.
Diversity,
because I actually lived here all my life.
Diversity, the fact that most people have their basic needs met. Of course, there are people who are poor and don't have, but most people have their
basic needs met. What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Of course they do.
You know what it's like to grow up in the hood here? You know, like, did you see my videos in the slums of Nablus? Did you see my videos in the Wow.
I'm talking about Israel proper. I'm talking about Israel. I'm talking about
Israel proper too. I'm talking about Israel. I'm talking about Nahariya, where I grew up, man. You want to come to my neighborhood and see?
Of course there are hoods, bro. Of course there are hoods. There are hoods everywhere.
No, the whole country is a hood, man. The whole country. Tel Aviv is a bubble. We call it the country of Tel Aviv. Here, look at Tel Aviv. Looks so lovely and European. But you go like 2 hours on the train to my city or to anywhere else, and you will see that is a lie.
Bro, I listen. I lived in Israel for 3 years. Most of my family lives there. I know Israel well. I understand.
You went to the south of Tel Aviv? Could you tell us about the south of Tel Aviv?
Yes, I have. Yes, several times.
What's it like? What's
the bus station? You have all the Eritreans and the Sudanese, and it's really nasty there. Tons of homeless, drugs. I've been there.
It looks like the Bronx, right?
It looks bad, but dude, every country has slums. America, first of all, most Americans.
Bro, this whole country is a slum, man. You know what? The whole of Nahariya, bro. There were gangsters controlling the city. I was working for them, but they did whatever they want, man. Like, for example, somebody set up a little kiosk. Like, they were like, "Woohoo! I'm gonna open a little business," and they started selling something in the Tayelet, like on the beach line. I used to sell stuff there too. But anyway, a guy comes with a Mercedes G-Wagon and a bat and, like, bashes their business down. And nobody does anything because this is Nahariya. It is controlled by crime. Trumpeldor, you heard of this is Nahariya, man. It's not the worst. Like, you go a little bit further to Akko. And in Akko, when I was growing up there, and I think still now, if you enter Akko, the old city of Akko, the place that Napoleon failed to conquer, then if you enter at night with a black helmet and it's down, then you're gonna get shot immediately on the spot. You understand? And this is just two cities that are adjacent.
Why would you get shot on the spot for that? Because they don't know you?
No, because you're covering your face and you're on a motorbike. It looks like you're gonna go kill someone.
Right. Okay, listen, but dude, I get you, but do you know how many countries have horrible crime? Second of all, there's, I would say, in total, of course, there's crime, there's gangs, there's mafia, but there's probably much lower homicide rate in Israel than many other countries.
No, let me go further than that.
From Israeli to Israeli?
Try and understand, man. Because wait, you said there's crime, there's drug, there's mafia. The real mafia is every single one of our people that are in government have some sexual harassment case, have some, just look it up, man. You know this. They're all criminals. They're all convicted criminals, man. Like, this country is run by criminals, each and every single one of them. Whether it's the mafia, where I was like doing stuff, or whether it's the president, it's the same fucking shit.
This happens with all leaders, man. All the American leaders have some scandal. They have something they did. It happens all the time, man.
Yeah.
But it doesn't negate the fact that Israel, with all of its issues, is still a very impressive country. You can say whatever you want. 75 years with all the bullshit they've gone through. There's so many good things.
The only good thing that came out of here is that Israelis are some of the smartest people in the world, and that Ashkenazi Jews have the highest IQ in the world. That is the reason that we made it in the world, because this is Tel Aviv and this is better than New York. Because over here, I can literally walk door to door and walk into Microsoft, walk into Google, walk into Checkpoint, all of these different Israeli, no, they're not Israeli, but all of these different high-tech companies. I can tell them, hey, I have an idea for an app and make $1 million. Like, this is Tel Aviv, you understand? Because, like I'm saying, obviously not just a random idea, but you understand, if you're smart enough and you write and you can program and you can do stuff, then the possibility here is like laying on the floor. It's like of course, if you're ambitious and you're ready to work and you're ready to do everything, then you're not going to be poor. Like me, I was rich since I was 12 years old. I was always working and I was always doing stuff. I always had money. That's how I've been traveling the world for so long. And the thing is, like, but it's not big. It's the reason.
Well, I know
that
on
you
your
can
channel.
I know on your channel.
There was a.
It's the same for every other
hold on.
country in the world.
Ido,
You
one second.
understand?
I know there was a time when you were doing your channel, at least until you grew, that you were really tight on money. You were mentioning it.
Yeah, like I was really tight on money, but then when I ran out and I was like, okay, I got to invest in a new camera, this collaboration, fly to here to do this, that. Okay, I go cook methamphetamine in Brazil. You understand? That's how I did it.
The point
and then
is,
I
man,
made a hit a lick, and then I kept going,
We are
But yeah.
Israel is so much more successful, and with all their problems, doing so much better than most Muslim countries. Sure, there are Muslim countries that are super successful for the most part. And of course,
they're
the
not
West,
doing better than most Muslim countries. You know what the strongest currency in the world is?
I guess I don't. I thought I did.
What, you thought it was the US dollar?
What is it then?
All of the top currencies are from Kuwait. I think Kuwait is number one. From the UAE is also Bahrain. Sorry, Bahrain is I think number 2 or something like that. The point is that it's the strongest economy. It's the strongest. Obviously, that doesn't equal to like a rich country all the time, the value of the coin. But anyway, they're fucking rich and they're more successful than Israel. Have you seen Dubai?
Yeah, but Dubai also has
oil.
such an
I
oil.
know you were gonna say what. So what?
But I'm saying, without their oil, they wouldn't be where they are. Second of all, I don't know why you keep cutting out. What it keeps cutting out. These are also countries that are for the most part, and maybe not as much with Kuwait, but they're pretty cool with Israel. The wealthier Muslim countries are pretty well off with Israel.
Yeah, whatever.
Most of these countries that are more the well-off Muslim countries are pretty cool with Israel. Dubai,
Dude, the
especially
oil thing about Dubai is a myth. You can
Saudi
Google it.
Arabia.
Oil is definitely not what made Dubai rich.
So what do you think made it rich?
It's not what I think. I just I ask a few to look for the. It's tourism boosted the economy a lot, but it definitely wasn't oil the thing that.
But
made it the most rich.
I'm pretty sure that's not the case. But also,
No,
there's
it is the
so
case.
many
I would
things
like
underneath
you,
the
I
sea.
want you to Google it. I don't have a laptop or something, but
I
it is
can definitely
definitely not oil that made them rich. It is innovation.
Well, if you're gonna, okay, but if you're gonna claim that, I mean, I could check it, but I would. I need more time than to sit there. I'm not gonna just sit there. We'll do it afterwards. Um,
No, I'm just
the
saying,
point
like,
is,
you're not basing your statements on facts. Many of them. You're
but
just
you're
saying,
also
like,
not.
what? No,
You're
because
also
I
not
mean,
giving me facts. You're not giving me facts to make your arguments either. I think.
I am.
I
You want a
think
fact for what your argument wasn't clear. Like, I wasn't
my
giving you
argument
nothing
simply,
that
my
I gave
argument.
you, man, was subjective from my life experience. Every single thing here you can read about and you can look at pictures of. Every single thing I talk about, everything has references.
So okay, but if we're not talking about the countries you listed, if we're talking about Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, uh, and then all the African Muslim countries, do you think that those are better in terms of quality of life for its citizens, in terms of safety, in terms of all those things? Do you think, in terms of economic prosperity, do you think do you think those countries are better off than Israel is?
No, so many of those countries that you mentioned, they were on their way to economic prosperity, and they were faced with the boot of the United States that thwarted their ideas. And, for example, Gaddafi wanted to make. I can hear myself twice. Gaddafi wanted to make the big river in Libya drinkable for all the people, and he had crazy ideas, and he was one of the smartest leaders of in the Middle East. I mean, of all time, and he was thwarted by the United States, like many other of the countries that you mentioned, because they don't want to have the Arab world take over. Like, what else did you say besides Libya?
All these countries,
Every single
Tunisia,
country.
Algeria, pretty
Yeah,
much.
every single one of those countries you can well, mostly Iran and Iraq. You can look at the situation that they were in the 90s, for example, of Iran, and what happened, and who funded who,
With
and
the
how.
Shah. Well, you had the Shah, and then the Shah was ousted by the Ayatollah.
Yeah, but the
Okay.
Ayatollah is a creation of the U.S. You can Google that. Just like Hamas is a creation of Netanyahu. Do you know that?
Yeah, no, I'm aware of those things. I understand that. There's always these intricate issues, and there's all
It's
these.
hardly intricate. It's very clear that in 1982, around 1982, when Yasser Arafat was gaining power in Gaza, then Netanyahu wanted to make an opposition for them, and that opposition was the Muslim Brotherhood, who later had a different name and later became Hamas. And there's hard evidence, and there's Israeli people of government admitting to it in their letters that they were funded by the Israeli government, what has now become the terrorist organization called Hamas.
Yeah,
So you
I
reap what you
understand that,
sow.
and
Like about the 7th of October, you reap what you sow. I mean, you created a Frankenstein, and this is the result of 1,000 electric bolts.
okay. Well, first of all, you can't necessarily know. I understand that if you create something potentially and it doesn't go the way you expect, then of course it is
Doesn't
what it
go the
is. But
way,
then again,
but the
you can't
Muslim
just.
Brotherhood was already known for what they did. It's not like they all of a sudden, like, man, that's silly, really. Like, it's not like they all of a sudden, like, oops, we created Hamas. It wasn't like Hamas is just a tool, like, to be used to have an excuse for continuing to not let Palestinians, for example, go back to their homes in a city like Tel Aviv, which I'm in right now, in the city of Yafa, which was a Palestinian city before
I
48.
understand.
In the city of Al-Tira before, which was in 47, 48 ethnic clans.
Right, but
And it's called Tirat HaKarmel today, right next to Haifa, where I grew up, which was also a Palestinian town. The point is, Hamas was created as a tool to be able to continue having this situation and to continue having the Jewish people just I agree with the fact that Jewish people should be able to live in the Holy Land, and also in many other places that we were in, like Iraq, like my ancestors, like North Africans, like all over the world. Jews deserve to live in their homes, but so do the Palestinians that were living
so,
in the.
so how does that work? I understand that Israel might have that they put people in place who were in strong opposition in order to have a reason to keep fighting. I can understand that, but the reality is because we don't live in the Stone Age and we're not just eradicating the other side because of all of the politics and all of the international pressure. So both sides are dancing around the issue. Now that everything has happened already.
No. Man, yeah, well, I don't know. That was just ridiculous.
How is it ridiculous? Tell me.
Because like they created a creature called Hamas so that they will have an excuse to keep the situation as it is, to not to only give Palestinians access to a small chunk of the land that was that they have been historically living in, and also, which I don't fail to acknowledge, what Jews were living in for 5,000 years.
At the end of the day, man, what do you think is the solution to this problem? Right? Because there's so much.
I see a solution. Yeah, you want to hear my solution for the conflict? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Well, if there's anything that we've learned in the 2011 Arab Spring, it's that Arabs cannot live in a democracy. They need a dictatorship. But
why is that?
Why is that? Because every single country that had a revolution and became a democracy later came back to being a dictatorship or was left in turmoil, like Yemen, like Libya.
But why do you think that is? I agree with you, but why do you think that is?
Because Arabs need a dictatorship, and Israel is a majority Arab country, and we need a dictatorship here if we want peace. And I can talk about that dictatorship more, but if you want, I can keep explaining why Arabs need dictatorship.
Go ahead, tell me. But obviously, you're lumping Mizrahi Jews as Arabs as well. I understand you've said that.
Yeah,
before.
because they are Arabs. Because I can tell you from firsthand experience that I have lived in a Moroccan Jewish household. It was the biggest crime family of Nahariya, and they adopted me for a year, like something through the because I was like homeless and I needed a place to stay, blah blah blah. Like it's called a mishpachat cherum, and I lived with them for a year, and they have the exact same culture as the rest of the Arabs. They go, they slaughter lambs, they make noise, they sing, they eat all the time. They're Arabs.
Yeah, I agree. I understand where you're coming from. I think a Jew is still a Jew, meaning I get what you're saying from it's all semantics, but
yeah, an Arab Jew. Yeah, do you not agree with the term Arab Jew?
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that, but a Jew, even from an Arab country, you can call them an Arab Jew. I hear what you're saying, but they still differentiate
that's
themselves.
What they are, an Arab Jew. That's like you have an Arab Christian, for example.
Yeah, I guess, but Jewish people don't consider themselves Arabs mainly because they've always been. The difference with Christians is Christians.
Yes, they do. Many of them do. I'm not the only one, you know.
Maybe some of them. I think primarily they don't. I don't consider Mizrahi Jews Arabs. They lived in Arab lands. I don't consider themselves Arab. I don't consider them Arabs.
No, most like maybe there's a small yarmulke wearing right wing group of people in Israel itself that don't call themselves Arabs as Mizrahis, but in general, Arab Jews I mean, Iraqi Jews were very proud of being Arabs. You can read Anwar Shaul's poems, for example.
Yeah, I understand. They had their lives there. I get it. I think Jews are Jews. But either way, the point is they're not I don't think they need to live the same way. And I think for the most part, as much as they have their own Mizrahi Jews have their own culture, I think they're far less crazy than your average I guess Muslim country where you have Shias, Alawis, Sunnis, who are literally they're slaughtering each other all the time, just because they have different belief systems.
Yeah, but that's
Ashkenazim
also
and
happening. That's also happening in countries that have nothing to do with Islam, like Cameroon, for example. Have you heard about the conflict in Cameroon, or like many other countries in Africa? Like you're just this is a bit of a Islamophobia, I would say, because
no, 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 no,
you're
no.
only
I
pointing
don't
out to a
negate. I
certain.
don't negate that. I don't negate that. But for the most part, Christian nations are still. This isn't even about that. It's not about shitting on Muslim countries. It's more of the fact on showing that Israel is not as bad as you make it out to be. There's tons of problems, but regardless of that,
Yes, it
what do
is.
you think is?
Yes, it
I
is. It
did.
is very bad. Have you seen how many people have died since the 7th of October, including
I
the 7th
understand.
of October? Have you seen that? I think that's a very bad thing, man. Very bad.
I get it. I get
But
it, dude. I
maybe you
can't
don't
argue that.
consider it bad, but I lost a lot of friends out there, Palestinians, Chinese, whatever, Israelis. I live here and I lived here most of my life, man, and I know a lot of people, and a lot of people died, so that is very fucking bad.
I don't disagree that it's bad, but there's still lots
And
of
that's
good.
very
But
easy to go there and sit like over there in the United States where fa- where you're not facing the threat of being exterminated, and to say that it's not bad. What Netanyahu has led us into. Like I really don't understand. Like
I'm not saying there aren't issues. Of course, there's a war right now, but I'm saying what I want
issues,
to know is, huh?
issues. It's issues. It's an issue that thousands of people are dying every day. That people are dying every single day. You call that an issue in a country of, including the Palestinians, less than the population of the city of
Okay, so give me an
Istanbul.
alternative. I understand. So give me this is unfortunately war is a terrible thing.
I was
So
about
what
to
is
give you an
Israel?
alternative, but you were more stuck about talking about Arab Jews.
No, I wasn't. Okay, so give me a solution right now for what Israel needs to do in order for us to have peace.
Okay, you're
Finally,
listening. Let's go.
go ahead.
Boom.
I'm listening.
One state solution. That's the only way that we have peace. Full return for full right of return for Palestinians that were evacuated from their homes in all different parts of the Holy Land, and full right of return for Jews as well that lived also in historical Judea and Samaria, and in
Okay.
all different parts of the land in which Jews have lived, and therefore there needs to be one state. Up to here. You agree
Okay.
with me, or you
Okay.
think that
What do we call?
Palestinians come
Okay.
back?
Okay. And you don't think it's a problem that they're going to outnumber us? That they're going to outnumber us, and we might lose
No,
our
it's
Jewish
not,
majority?
because they're not going to outnumber us. Because if if we will make some changes to this economy and open it up a bit more, and Palestinians will have the right of return. And I know that there's many Palestinians out there in different countries, like Chile, for example. But if they will have the right of
Okay.
return, trust me, the Jewish people, with an open economy and with our high IQs and our love for money, will know how to capitalize on that, and how to make business in the Middle East, and how to make, like, I'm talking in a situation with peace.
Okay.
How to make because once you solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, there's like a lot of more countries that you can start trading with. For example, Saudi Arabia, which we've been very, very close to having a peace deal with. But the point is, when trade will be open and peace will be there, economy is the thing that matters the most at the end of the day, man. And if the economy
Okay.
in Israel will be booming, and it will become the richest country in the world, because Jews from all over the world will come and seize opportunities in a land that just solved a conflict that has been going on since
75
right
years,
after the
even more than that,
Holocaust.
almost 100 years. So what? Okay. Okay. Fine. It sounds nice in theory. I have a lot of counter arguments. what happens, which
What?
is probably what's gonna what
I didn't.
I said I have a lot of
Give me a
I have a
counter
lot of
argument.
what happens if we do what you say and then they continue to fight us because they don't want Jewish leadership.
Okay, that's where the dictatorship comes in. That's why I said Arabs need a dictatorship. Remember? That's why I believe that it should be, it already is a surveillance state, but I believe that it should be a surveillance state that also enforces its surveillance against the Israeli citizens, not just the Palestinians, and not just certain areas in the country. But
You're
anyway,
you're saying it's a dictatorship, but it should be a complete dictatorship. It should be an utter
yeah, it should be a
dictatorship.
complete dictatorship
That's
to ease into
insanity.
peace. What?
That's insanity. Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
No, that's not insanity because
Okay.
look at history, man. Look, how is that insane? I just gave you an example. Tunisia was a lost democracy, and it's not a democracy anymore. And no Arab country survived as a democracy, even though they were so opposed to dictatorship and to dictatorships, and even though, ironically, in Egypt, with how anti-Semitic they are and anti-Israel they are, they read books by a Czech Jewish author called Franz Kafka because of his ideas of revolution. But anyway, they failed because the Arabs can't live in a democracy. And we are Arabs.
So the country has many non-Arabs in it right now, and the country is not of dictatorship. I don't agree it is. So it seems to be.
You don't agree, but
to,
you're just closing
so you're
your
saying,
eyes.
So you're saying to make it. No, I'm not. I'm actually not.
I
at
don't
all.
understand why you choose to ignore the facts.
You're saying to make it less. You're saying to make it less free and bring everybody into the country. That's okay. That's what you're. That's what you're supposed.
No. South Korea, do you consider it a free country?
Not at all. Oh, South
Not
Korea.
at all?
So no, South Korea. South Korea. I've never been there, but as far as I know, it sounds like it is.
Okay. Did you know that there's one of the lowest crime rates in the world in South Korea? And why? Because there's cameras everywhere. That's it. Does that make it a horrible dictatorship? No. It's just something that works. That's also how they didn't have COVID problems in South Korea.
Okay, but but so it's not a dictatorship, is what you're saying? North Korea.
Help
Okay,
me
no.
finish this. This was
Still
supposed to.
missing? Come
Yeah.
on, it's late. I need to go home. I need to have my beauty sleep.
I didn't know you were
Oh
waiting.
no, we got
Yeah, my
stuff to
God.
talk about. I know he's tired. See that?
Yeah, I haven't slept in 2-3 days.
All right. Either way, man. I don't
Yeah,
agree with that. I don't think that idea
wait,
makes sense.
Okay, no, let's do. I don't. Well, yeah, let's say goodbye to the podcast too. It's been too long. You're right. I gotta go work. Sorry, he makes me actually work like naughty. Stop chasing skirts. Go work. Anyway.
Okay. We can always talk. We can always talk at a different point. I
Labor
don't.
order.
Yeah. I don't think a one state would actually work. I think too many Palestinians would want to kill us. Huh? You trying to listen?
Okay. Yeah. Wait. Okay. Okay. Just say what you want to say. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, the one state solution would never work. We'd be
One
outnumbered.
state solution would never
We
work.
also have different ways of running the state. Meaning,
agree,
unless Israel became a completely religious state, the Palestinians would probably, most of them would never agree to do things that way. As far as having like Western rights, such as like gay rights and other things, the Palestinians would never sign up to that. Would never be willing to share land doing that.
One state.
What did he say? That there's no gay rights in Palestine?
One state.
That's nonsense.
One state solution will never work because Israel will lose its Jewish. It won't be a Jewish
Majority.
nation anymore. Won't be a Jewish state anymore. So what's the point?
So you're agreeing with me?
I agree that
He agrees with you. I don't.
Oh, okay. So he agrees.
totally
No, you and I are on the same. We're
hand, I think that,
אני מסכים איתך. We're on the same page.
We need to have a solution. We need to give the Palestinians their state. I mean, a two-state solution, to my mind, is the only solution that is practical.
The problem is, I don't think that works either. I don't think that listen. It sounds nice. I don't think that works either because you have too many people. You have too many people on both sides who wouldn't agree to it, and I think the Palestinians would still fight with us.
What is your solution?
I think the best solution actually would be to make Gaza a Palestinian state, have Egypt give them part of the Sinai as an extension of Gaza, give them a nice piece of land from the Sinai, create a bigger Gaza. They call that the Palestinian state. We'd have to obviously figure out what to do with the West Bank. And
Why?
then
Wait.
as long as
What about the West Bank?
What about their
that's
land?
another thing. So that's another thing I have. That's
In
another
West Bank,
problem.
You've got almost 2 million. 2 million.
I understand that. I'm not claiming to have all the answers. This is I'm just speculating. But I don't see the one state or two state being an option. The thing that makes the most sense is giving them Gaza with extra land from the Sinai. The West Bank would have to be figured out. I don't have a solution for the West Bank.
What the fuck is the West Bank would have to be figured out? There's 2 million people over there. Figured out. That sounds like a genocide. To figure out 2 million.
That's not at all what I'm saying.
I gotta go.
That's what Ben-Gvir says. They should figure it out.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm
He
saying.
wants to put them into the sea, like they wanted to put us into the sea. That's not the solution.
But that's not what I'm saying. Figure it out means figure it out. It doesn't mean kill them all. That's not what I'm saying.
All right, I really gotta fuck off. We've got a meeting. Bye, man. Thank you for everything.
Okay, I just
Appreciate
wanted
it.
to
Bye-bye.
quickly close it out. Ido, let me just close it out real quick.
No, I'm
Let me
late
just
for a
clo-
meeting. I really gotta fuck off.
Okay, guys, thank you for joining. Salukie, thank you for coming. Guys, subscribe to his channel on YouTube. I know the quality wasn't
Subscribe
perfect,
to your
but
channel, bro. Wear a Salukie t-shirt and I'll give you a shout out. No, I'm kidding. I'll give you a shout out anyway.
Sounds good,
Thank you
man.
for the
Yeah, good
Yeah,
talking.
thanks for
Absolutely,
reaching
man.
out.